So to get to the great story here, that is the lead up to the ultimate story up in Absolute, we have to negotiate these side triads, which again are not static. They're sort of programmed in our psyches. Some of it may be karmic, some of it may even come from other lives, other worlds, who knows. But the whole point of the great story is we will never understand it. It's a mystery. It's ineffable. And humanity has got locked into this idea of being certain. I'm right, you're wrong, up, down, left, right. We can see why we do that, because we do live in a universe of duality. There is day, there is night, there is male, there is female. But in this modern world, we're beginning to understand the nuances between the yeses and the nos, the males and the females. And the answer to it is yes and. Yes, and yes, I hear you. Yes, I hear your point of view. And there are other possibilities. Any time you have anyone who is certain they are still in their story and they are almost certainly being prevented to get to their soul and from there to spirit because of the pressure from the side triads. In a healthy person, this is a discerning, no, not appropriate. Probably not a good idea. We won't go that way. And this is a joyful yes. This is the right way. This is where wisdom is indicating we go. This is the sorrow because there must be sorrow in life. But I use the word sorrow rather than grief because it's softer. There's sorrow in the turning of the year. There's sorrow in the death of a loved one. There's sorrow in the death of a flower. There's sorrow always, because things change and move and die and are resurrected. Nothing remains the same. To stay the same is pure stasis, which is death. And this side is joy. So that's fun, delight, activity, laughter, passion, all the wonderful things. But unfortunately, because of our loading from the bottom world and because life now has become so complicated, these now turn into the should nots, the shoulds. These are the laws by which our society or our tribe live or don't live. And these become our wounds and these become our addictions. And in all of us, there's a particular grading according to our upbringing and our destiny and our fate. And every single person is different. The central column, the pathway of consciousness, is all about faith. And the opposite of faith is certainty. Faith is trust in things that are unknown. It's trust in a transcendent God. It's not trust in a God that says, you may not do that, you must do that. Now, the Bible was brilliant for the people of its age, and it's still brilliant now. I adore reading the Bible because I get so much more out of it every time. And what I really want to honour in the Bible is the fact that, particularly in the Hebrew Testament, it's totally honest about what rubbish we human beings are at this path of faith. We go into certainty, we go into battles, we go into fights, we don't listen to our intuition. And the Hebrew Testament is all about how people got it wrong and then how God loved us through it, or we perceived that there was a wicked God or an evil God. But again, in the end, the divine transcends, it transforms. But the only way to get to the transformation, and the transformation itself, is faith, which means the dropping of certainty. We cannot be certain and be in a relationship with the divine, because the divine is so beyond any possible comprehension of the living human mind that any image we make of it is going to be wrong. Now, woundology, this triad here, is one of the biggest issues that we have in the modern world, because it's become the story of our pain as our identity. I am defined by the death of my husband, the death of my child, my divorce, the suffering I went through, my illness. No, I'm not. But if I think I am, I'm providing a great big barrier to the perennial truth of my eternal soul. Because every one of us is an eternal soul in an evolutionary, wonderful incarnation, one of probably many incarnations. And by the way, the Pharisees in Jesus' day did believe in reincarnation. The Sadducees didn't. Many ancient cultures believe in reincarnation, and it's really important, if you do read the Bible, to understand that, because whether or not we believe in it is almost irrelevant. If they believed in it, that's the context in which we have to read the texts. And there are two specific aspects in the New Testament, in the Gospels, where reincarnation is certainly hinted at. I can't give you the chapter and verse, but I know you could find it on Google. When the disciples and Jesus are talking about who they think he is, they say, some say that you're John the Baptist returned, some say you're Elijah, and that's obviously reincarnation. And also they asked Jesus, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Now, Jesus' answer is that nobody sinned. He was born blind to reveal the kingdom. However, the question implies if the man was born blind, he must have sinned in a previous existence, or his parents had. Now, this is a fundamental misunderstanding of the Kabbalistic view of karma. It's not about punishment. It's about experience and learning and understanding all aspects of life. And it vastly amuses me to think that anyone who is seriously anti-homosexual, seriously committed to focusing on law in Christianity, is almost certainly going to come back as one of the people that they despise and reject, simply so that they can learn that being a person like that is part of a vital incarnation and part of the great love that transgender, gay, dispossessed people offer the rest of us, to see that there are those that we need to nurture and understand, that there is no certainty. There is no certainty. There is nothing in the human which is 100% binary. And as soon as we go into 100% binary, this is this and that is that, we have gone off that central column. And the central column from Tiferet is about the perennial truth up to the total divine. The perennial truth is much bigger than today's truth or tomorrow's truth. The perennial truth is that I and you are a beloved child of the divine in relationship with the divine. And when we lift our consciousness high enough, we will know that we are divine. We actually are representations of the divine on earth. And the bigger story, the soul story, which is fed by the divine story, is always about the unexpected, the unknown, the extraordinary.